Namaste, you're on The Nation at 5. I'm Anand Narsiman coming to you live from the CNN News 18 newsroom, ladies and gentlemen. Have a look at some of these pictures. Can you believe the amount of cash that is stashed? If I were to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that these visuals, this cash, Income Tax Department took 13 hours to count this money. They had counting machines, but they took 13 hours to count this money. If you look at these pictures, ladies and gentlemen, it's stacked. You can count the layers of cash. These are all wads of 500 rupee notes. And there are some wads of 2,000 rupee notes, all stacked in the farmhouse. And this is in one remote small city in Maharashtra. This is the amount that they have stumbled up. Such is the collection that the property seized is nearing 400 crores. Nearly 390 crore is the amount. The total amount of gold that's been found is more than 30 kilograms of gold. The amount of cash, hard cash that's been found is more than 55 crore rupees. Cash, which is stacked. And who are these people? The information that we are getting, this cash stash that has been seized in Jalna, belongs to steel companies. Owners of steel companies and steel manufacturers. There are 4 of them, and the details that we have so far is that 56 crore of cash, gold worth 14 crore, and it's taken 13 hours for the IT department officials to sit there and count this cash. The raids were carried out after it was found that steel companies that are also involved in construction were doing transactions out of the books. Most of the cash has been seized from the farmhouse of one of the owners of the steel plant. And in the current search, the IT has found unaccounted income to the tune of 300 crore rupees, if not more. The total amount is estimated to be about 390 crore. Ashish Merishi will be joining us here in the newsroom. But here is a ground report from one of our colleagues and collaborators at News 18 in Maharashtra.
स्टील कैपिटल ऑफ इंडिया के नाम से मशहूर जालना के एमआईडीसी में आयकर विभाग द्वारा छापेमारी की कार्रवाई की गई। तकरीबन 8 दिनों तक यह छापेमारी की कार्रवाई चली। मेरे पीछे आप देख सकते हो, यही है वो एसआरजे पिट्टी स्टील प्राइवेट लिमिटेड कंपनी। इसी कंपनी से आयकर विभाग ने अपनी छापेमारी की कार्रवाई का आगाज किया था। इस कंपनी के साथ साथ 2 अन्य कंपनियों में भी आयकर विभाग ने छापे डाली। साथ ही साथ 2 निजी साहूकारों के दफ्तरों पर भी छापेमारी कर दफ्तरों को सील किया गया। इस कार्रवाई में 390 करोड़ रुपए से अधिक की राशि जब्त की गई, जिसका कोई हिसाब किताब नहीं, जिसमें 50 किलो से अधिक का सोना और हीरे के जवाहरात होने की भी जानकारी हाथ लगी है। इस मामले में आयकर विभाग अब क्या कार्रवाई करता है, यह देखना अब काफी दिलचस्प होगा।
Well, Ashish Merishi is with us at this point. Ashish, tell us more details about who are these company owners and how did the IT stumble upon such a huge stack of cash?
So it's a proper gamut of things which are happening in Jalna, and it's nothing new. I remember in 2021 as well, in the month of September, there was an IT search and similar kind of cash, but the cash was a little less as compared to what we have found this time. But ultimately, what is happening in Jalna, one has to realize the fact that there are certain companies, there are certain individuals who are basically running steel furnaces, and everything happens in cash. So no GST paid, no income tax paid, companies are not registered, but these are all steel furnaces which are being run. It's a form of a cooperative, or you can say a form of a group of people who are running this show.
Is it a cooperative or a cabal?
The right word would be cabal. So it's like a cabal, which, group of people who are basically running the show there. And there, you don't pay taxes, but steel is produced, then the steel is smuggled out of that state, and huge amount of cash is collected, and with that, the finances go to certain builders who are in Pune, in Mumbai, and various other. This is usually the process. So this is the inside story. But yes, 58 crore rupees is huge in cash. We remember in the case of Partha Chatterjee as well, it was around 50 crores and there was so much of noise. But 50 crore rupees, it took the IT department around 13 hours to count. They started at 11 a.m. in the morning and ended at 1 a.m. in the night. So, it was a huge process for them. They found gold worth 14 crores, which is around 34 kgs. There are other diamonds and other valuable things as well. There are certain Benami properties. The documents have been found related to certain Benami properties. There are many more things which have been found, which the income tax department is looking at. But this is like, it's a regular process in that belt of Aurangabad, Nasik and Jalna, where steel furnaces are running illegally. And it seems to be that, the administration is very much hand in glove. And that is why, they are prospering like this. So 2 individuals, 2 companies have been raided. One is SR Steel, one is Kalika Steel. And most of the cash has been found from the farmhouse of one of the owners. Now, interestingly, the income tax department, they decorated their cars as if, the Baratis are going. And, there were around 260 odd people who raided at, various locations. So they had the police force as well, and they had the income tax department officials. So, but to camouflage the entire thing, they decorated their cars as if, the Barat is traveling towards that area.
Oh, it was like a wedding procession.
It's like it was
decorated like a Shadi ki Barat.
Yeah, Shadi ki Barat. And ultimately, they divided themselves into five teams and then got into the various locations where they found cash. So they had an idea that something like this was happening, and we are already seeing those visuals and the huge amount of
cash. And these are all 500 rupee wards which we are seeing. There are also some 2,000 rupees tax which are seeing. But you're saying it was all found at the farmhouse of one of the owners.
Yeah.
Are these 2 owners linked with each other?
So that's what I was telling you. It's like a group. Everybody knows. It's a very small district in Marathwada, Jalna. Everybody knows each other. Everybody works with each other. No taxes are paid. The cabal is moving cash from one location.
So where does the steel come from? If it's a steel furnace, so obviously
it's basically the scrap. It's basically the scrap. So the scrap goes to the furnace. Then the steel is produced, and it is smuggled out of the state without giving any taxes. It goes to various builders in Maharashtra.
So then it is linked to the construction business.
Yeah. So there's nothing new. You might have found huge amount of cash. People, in Mumbai was telling me that this is actually a small amount of cash as compared to the kind of dealings that these people do in Jalna. So this is a small amount as compared to what they actually
the actual amount is. So it's the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, it's just the tip of the iceberg.
It's the tip. But are there any political connections that are being seen?
Not yet.
And are there other furnaces also which are now going to be raided? Because if this is an open modus which is a norm there, so you said that there could be some administrative hand in glove. So where will this go to?
It's very difficult to say. Entirely depends on the income tax department, because once they raid, they found various details about cash dealings. There are diary entries. There are open entries which are given by entry operators and others. So we still don't know where will it lead to. But certainly this kind of transactions, this kind of illegal working, it just cannot happen without the administration.
And so much of cash, there has to be hands in the till.
Yeah.
So there must be people who are at powerful places who must be allowing these operations to be conducted and facilitated.
Even if you run
and there are many netas who are in the scrap business. There are many netas who are in the construction business.
Yeah, very early to comment until and unless there is something official we hear from our sources in the income tax department. But amazing, way of working of the income tax department. They went as Shadi ki Barat, and ultimately raided, and nobody had an idea that
there will be so much of cash that will be found. So now, how many Benami properties, or are there other raids also which are scheduled to be?
No, the raids are over as of now. But then obviously investigation continues, because there. I'm telling you, the modus operandi is very clear. It's a cabal, or it's a group of people who basically work, who cheat on taxes, who do not pay taxes, nothing on record, transactions, all transactions happen in cash, and that is why this kind of cash collection is visible on your screen. So this is nothing new. Everybody knows in that area that something like this is happening. But if there are it has been happening, Anand, not...
But these are incorporated companies? These furnaces are registered?
No, they are not.
No, they're not registered.
Most of the furnaces are not registered. These are
and
illegal.
They paid no taxes so far?
No taxes, nothing. So it is all cash transactions. आपने मुझे पैसे दिए, आपने steel ले गए, आप कबाड़
So how did the IT department get wind of it? And is it the income tax group in Maharashtra, in Mumbai, or is it somewhere from central?
No, it is happening from Maharashtra. But I am telling you, the income tax department would have raided now. In 2021 also they raided. So they also know that this has been happening for a number of years. It's the income tax deciding to knock at their doors now. So it's not that the administration is not aware that something like this is happening. It is not that the Maharashtra administration is not aware or the tax department.
Where does the scrap come from? All across the country or largely from Maharashtra? And you're saying the steel also goes from out of the state also it goes?
Yes, it goes out of the state. It is smuggled out of the state without paying GST. It is consumed inside the state without paying GST. It goes to various builders. In fact, I have been told by my sources, some people tell me that these people finance in cash to certain builders in Mumbai and Pune. So, because they have huge amount of cash with them, so they act as financiers as well. So,
and this money is again unaccounted for because it's black, it's funding, and then they either convert it into white or it comes back to
everything out of the books.
Everything is out of the books. Now the larger question, and I'm sure the viewers would also know, where has this cash been taken to? And where is all this gold and jewelry, all of this? Where does it go and where is it housed? Does it now become government property?
So it is under the possession of the income tax department till the closure of the case. So there, the process is that the income tax department has to file an appraisal report. That usually happens within 90 days to 120 days. So the appraisal report ultimately goes to the assessees, wherever the assessee is assessed, in whatever circle he is assessed. Then the assessing officer decides what kind of taxes should be levied on this person. Then, in case the income tax department feels that it is laundered money, it has come through a criminal process, then it goes to the enforcement directorate or to various other agencies.
Otherwise, out of this, say 300 crore, if they say that it's a 50% penalty, so 150 crore actually goes back to those who have been working without declaring tax return without
papers. It doesn't go back usually because there are so many taxes and penalties which are levied that in fact the person is charged usually more than what is seized.
What is seized? Okay.
Yeah. So it is usually more. It is usually more. So if somebody is
expecting
right now
it's gone to the state bank.
Yeah.
Is it in the state bank now?
It is with the State Bank of Nashik, and gold is obviously it's with the Panchanama, so it stays in the possession of the income tax department. In case they are able to prove that this gold has been purchased with white money, there is nothing wrong, then obviously it can be returned, but it doesn't look to be because 14 kgs of 34 kgs of gold is
clearly won't be white
and 58 crore,
58 crore in cash stacked in a farmhouse. That's a lot of money, and that too, these are the new notes. So it's all happened post demonetization, ladies and gentlemen. So you got to think about that too. Ashish Maharishi, thank you for that input. So from Jalna in Maharashtra, let's head towards Bihar, ladies and gentlemen. On the day Nitish Kumar walked out of the NDA and resigned, that's that Tuesday, look at what is happening. Many on social media and in the political circles are also turning around and saying, is it a sign of things to come? Look at what has happened. Sign of things to come in Bihar as lawlessness comes to play. 3 instances of brutal crime that have been recorded in Bihar on Tuesday itself. Huge symbolism, like we said, when Nitish Kumar resigned as Chief Minister. First incident happens in Gopalganj, where a journalist, Gokul Yadav, is shot dead 5 times by miscreants. On the day Nitish quit as Chief Minister, 3 instances of brutal crime all across Bihar. First one in Gokulganj, where journalist Gokul Yadav was shot dead 5 times. Shot dead, he was shot at 5 times by miscreants. The next incident happens in Betia, where the priest of the Ram Janaki temple is not only murdered, he's beheaded and his head is carried across. They carry the severed head across to another Kali temple. Now, the reason for this is still under investigation, but then again, a brutal act that's come to fore. The third one happens in Patna itself, where 9 lakh rupees have been looted from a Toyota showroom, where private security guard was killed, cash, 6 laptops were stolen by 12 looters, 12 miscreants. Saurabh now joins us live. Saurabh, on the day Nitish Kumar walked out of the NDA, it just looks like a brazen Gundaraj on display across Bihar. Is it a norm, or does this come as a surprise? Because on that day, there were also many journalists, female journalists, who were harassed, heckled, teased, abused, who were doing their job. So is this a sign of things to come?
See, Anand, I have been tracking Bihar and Jharkhand both, and if we talk about the crime, these incidents are not a surprise because lawlessness is very much evident in Bihar. And I remember the statements given by, Tejasvi Yadav, who is now the Deputy CM. Last year, he gave a statement. He said that Bihar is becoming the crime capital of India, and the state government is failing and is trying to protect the criminals. This is what he said last year, and his statement was against the Chief Minister, then Chief Minister, and also now Chief Minister Nitish Kumar. So crime is a major factor over here. It is also speculated that RJD, which had a perception of a Gunda Raj, Jungle Raj, these kinds of anecdotes were used against the party. Now it is to be seen whether the RJD, which is now in alliance with the same CM, protects the protects the law and order of the state, or whether Bihar is again heading towards Jungle Raj or Gunda Raj, as the earlier people used to say. So this is a major factor. We are also learning that the Home Department, which looks after the law and order situation in Bihar, will be either kept by Nitish Kumar himself, as earlier it was, or it will be given to Tejasvi Yadav. So we are not sure that the Home Department will be with whom, but certainly this is a major department which will be decided in the cabinet expansion in coming days. But the criminals here, they are on rampage, and they have very less fear of the police administration. So we saw these three incidents in a day where Nitish Kumar resigned, knowing very well that Nitish is going to be in alliance with RJD. So it can be speculated the return of RJD has given a boost to the criminals, maybe, or will RJD will change its perception of protecting criminals as it used to do in early 90s. So this will be interesting, that this new alliance, whether it will succeed in controlling crime, or the criminals will roam free.
True. Well, do we have the details of the journalist who was shot dead? What is the background to that incident? What happened in Betia? And also Patna, this loot which has happened with the with 10 or 12 miscreants. Has there been any movement in cracking down the perpetrators and catching the perpetrators in all three instances?
See here, yes, the journalist Gokul Yadav was a local journalist of Gopalganj over there. He was shot at 5 times, but now police is on the crackdown. They are searching the criminals, but no arrests have been made so far. Similarly, in Ram Janki Mandir priest case, police is conducting searches, no arrests so far. And in Patna, loots are very common here, maybe because unemployment is more, and people thinks that looting shops and looting people here is easier than to do any job, because there are no jobs. Actually, the political parties, they promises job, but they don't give jobs to people. So crime is very evident over here. And if we talk about against crime, Bihar has been on the top list of state crimes. I'm sorry, Anand, it's raining. I have to move inside.
Right. Thanks for your input, Saurabh. Get to safety, because it's inclement weather all across, and Bihar is also reeling under floods. That's going to be another challenge for the government at this time, because there is heavy rains even in Nepal, and once the Gandak River swells up, it all comes spoiling down straight into Bihar. So we will get on top of that also. But now shifting focus from Bihar to Bengal, ladies and gentlemen, where after Trinamool Congress's Partha Chatterjee and aide Arpita Mukherjee were arrested, another leader, Anubrata Mondal, has been arrested from his home. This comes after he skipped summons from the CBI. They say that more than 12 times, more than a dozen times he was summoned. He appeared only once. Now, Anubrata had written to the agency about summons in the cattle smuggling case, now saying that he was ill and hence couldn't attend. He attached copies of 2 doctors' prescriptions and asked for 2 weeks' time to appear before the CBI. Trinamool Congress sources telling us that they won't tolerate any corruption and that law will take its own course. The BJP has lashed out at West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee, saying that she gives state protection to those who operate under crime and extortion syndicates under her watch. Let's listen into the reactions, and then we've got developments. We'll also have Ashish Merishi and Shogoto joining us on the story.
সঠিক কাজ করেছেন এবং আইনের আওতায় এনে তদন্তর যে প্রক্রিয়া আছে সেই তদন্ত প্রক্রিয়ার মধ্য দিয়ে তারা তাদের নিজস্ব ব্যবস্থায় করবেন সে ব্যাপারে আমার বক্তব্য নেই। অনুব্রত মণ্ডল যে একজন মাফিয়া এবং মমতা বন্দ্যোপাধ্যায়ের প্রশ্রয়ে আশ্রয়ে একটা মুদির দোকান থেকে যে ভাটে মাগুর মাছ বিক্রি করত সে আজকে 1000 কোটি টাকার মালিক। তো মমতা ব্যানার্জির সৃষ্টি।
Shogoto joining us live, but Ashish is with me here in the newsroom. Ashish, the CBI says that multiple times they issued this summons. What are the grounds for arrest today?
So, he was not cooperating, one. Two, they had evidence with them which showed that he was beneficiary or a part of the cattle smuggling case. So there are 2 very important cases which are being investigated by the CBI and the Enforcement Directorate in West Bengal. One relates to cattle smuggling, another relates to the coal smuggling case. We all know that that coal was smuggled out of abandoned coal fields of Eastern Coalfields Limited. So here, these 2 cases hold lots of importance. We already seen so many arrests in the past. We all know that a person called Vinay Mishra is on the run, who was basically a senior neta of Trinamool Congress. He's absconding. We already know there is a red corner notice against him, and he's already taken citizenship of Vanuatu, which is a small island above Australia. So, huge amount of money was produced. We have already seen senior IAS, IPS officers being questioned by the Enforcement Directorate in the past. But in this case, Anubrata Mondal was basically, the CBI wanted him to question him. Multiple summons were issued to him. Every time he used to say that, he can't come. He used to send lots and lots of medical reports, which in all likelihood were fudged. In fact, we are also learning that the doctor who gave the certificate of he being ill, he's giving a statement that he was under pressure, and then he issued that letter, or you can say which the doctor's
but for
advice.
The CBI, they have enough.
They have enough evidence to show that he's one of the beneficiaries
and
of
they
the
have the
cattle
money
smuggling case.
And that's a criminal offence. Cattle smuggling by default is a criminal offence, and it's also enshrined that cattle protection or cow protection is enshrined in our constitution.
And most importantly, you remember that since it joins Bangladesh, we all know that from West Bengal to Bangladesh, huge amount of cattle is smuggled, in which various BSF officials have also been indicted. So
and there has been a huge cleanup of and pulling up of certain BSF
so here
officials
they had
also.
ample evidence with them that he was one of the beneficiaries. He's a strong neta. He's never fought elections, but he's a strong face of Trinamool Congress in Birbhum.
Yes, in Birbhum, and Shogoto is joining us live. Shogoto, Anubrata Mondal was also involved at that with the burning of the homes of certain Trinamool Congress when the workers, when the internecine fights happened. And he at that time had tried to dismiss the whole thing altogether, and he copped a lot of flack at that time. So he's been under the scanner for a while, and he's also been infamous for his conduct and also his utterings.
That's right, Anand, and it's not just the coal or cattle smuggling cases that he is under the CBI lens for a while. He is also, being closely watched and observed by the agency for some post-poll violence cases, and these post-poll violence cases involves murder of BJP workers in Birbhum. So obviously, once the CBI gets into those cases, life will become extremely difficult for Anubrata Mondal, because it involves charges of murder, no less. So obviously, the process, according to many observers, Anand, has only just begun, and probably the arrest of this the strongman of the Trinamool Congress in Birbhum has happened in a case which probably is one of the mildest of all cases, that the agencies are actually looking at him at this point in time. At least that's what the perception is. Whether or not that would actually be, translated into real
perhaps
terms
most
is
minor
something that
crimes
one
can
must
be
wait
the
and watch.
undoing of netas who think that they can get away with far greater acts which are against the interest of society. Shogato, thank you for your inputs. We've got a big news coming through. Ashish was just mentioning it. Now Kamalika is also joining us with the inputs that one of the doctors who prescribed or whose prescription was quoted says that he was actually threatened and he was asked to sign on a blank piece of paper. That's what he's saying. He was forced to write a prescription for the Trinamool Congress leader. This is by the Bolpur Subdivisional Hospital Superintendent, saying he feared for his child. Kamalika now joins us. Kamalika, were you able to speak to this doctor, and what did this doctor say?
Yes, I spoke to this doctor for a long time yesterday night, and this doctor was totally terrified and he was scared. What the doctor was saying that day before what happened on Monday, Anubrata Mondal went to SSKM hospital, and there it was told that there is no requirement of him to get admitted. So from there he went back to Birbhum to his residence. But yesterday morning we saw that Birbhum Birbhum Super Speciality Government Hospital's doctor came in. The doctor came in, he saw Anubrata, and when he came out, he said that Anubrata is not well and he requires 14 days of rest. While he was going back, that point of time, there was somebody who contacted him and said that the hospital authorities, stamp cannot be used. It has to be a white letter, a white letterhead that has been issued by him. That also the super told him before he came to see Anubrata Mondal. Before he came, super told him, he recorded that. And while he was going back, the same thing was told by the male nurse. Then, his conscience raised, that's what he told us, that, this is nothing right. And he also told us that when he was talking to Anubrata Mondal clearly told him to give a prescription of 14 days he has to take rest. That Anubrata Mondal pressurized him to write. Now, as I said from the morning, as I'm saying, as Shogat was also pointing out, Anubrata Mondal is the last word in Birbhum. And there nobody can say no to him. So he did that. And after that, his conscience raised and he was afraid. And he was afraid of his family. He said that, ma'am, I don't want more in TV because I am feared, I'm afraid, I have a small child. So this is the state what the doctor actually told us, and this is what Anubrata Mondal is all about. So definitely it's a embarrassing day for Trinamool Congress today. But they are going to do a press conference at 5:30 with the conspiracy theory.
Well, but the point is that in terms of if there is hard evidence and if somebody is involved in cattle smuggling and is a beneficiary of cattle smuggling, and that many believe is just perhaps the most minor of the offences committed by Anubrata Mondal, then is it not a huge embarrassment for the Trinamool Congress, because this entire cut money charge that then stands levelled, cut money at all levels, and corruption being rampant or endemic within the Trinamool Congress leadership. That's the allegation that's being made. We'll get into that in just a bit, but Kamalika, thank you for your inputs. Big news coming in from Tamil Nadu. So shifting focus, ladies and gentlemen, where Rajiv Gandhi assassination case convict S. Nalini has knocked the Supreme Court seeking premature release in the case. Nalini has cited the judgment of the top court in the case of co-convict Perarivalan. Now, the Madras High Court, while turning down the petition, had in fact stated that the High Court does not have special powers that the Supreme Court has under Article 142 of the Constitution, and thus it cannot order the release like the Supreme Court did for Perarivalan. Now, we have Ananya joining us with more details. Yes, Ananya, when was this petition moved?
Well, yes, Anand, the petition has been moved today itself, and it's currently under defects and would be, in fact, cured with the defects by tomorrow itself. And in fact, now Ms. Nalini has basically sought a premature release into this case. Remember, she had knocked the doors of the Madras High Court in June this year. However, the court had refused to grant the release because saying that it does not have the power of 142, which is Article 142, because the Supreme Court has an extraordinary power of under 142 of the Constitution of India, which it can pass an extraordinary order into a particular case in order to dispense justice. But the same power is not vested with the other courts in the country, and this is why it's the Supreme Court of India, the topmost court that Nalini has knocked talk now, challenging the order of the Madras High Court, clearly citing the judgment which was given by the topmost court of the country in the case of AG Ferrariwal. Remember, it was the Supreme Court that had ordered for a extraordinary premature release of AG Ferrariwal, and into this particular case,
Right. Now this is what the petition very clearly says. The petition has been moved, and the petition says that, like in the case of Perarivalan, I should also be allowed to be given relief. But the Madras High Court saying that it's not within our powers. It's the Supreme Court that can decide on the matter. You've got to go to the Supreme Court because they are empowered under Article 142 of the Constitution of India to take a decision on this matter, and that's exactly what Nalini's lawyers have now done. Ananya, thank you for your inputs. We're going to take a very, very short break here on The Nation at 5. Stay with us.